How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to the Rogue Planeswalkers Guild. Today, we have our very first Pauper deck tech, featuring, well, one of my favorite Pauper decks, though to be fair, any deck that I feature on this channel likely is going to be one of my favorite decks because I absolutely adore Pauper. This one is one of the most powerful decks in the format right now. This one is a Rakdos burn deck, or rather a Rakdos Madness burn deck. The goal of this deck is to discard cards from our hand using various effects, usually effects that let us draw cards, and then play those cards for their madness costs. Most of the time, dealing a lot of damage to our opponent. It's a lot of fun. You draw a lot of cards, you play the cards that you're discarding. It's just an absolute blast. If you like burn, if you like Rakdos, this is going to be a really fun deck for you. And before we get started with the actual video, I want to give a big shout out to one of my personal sponsors, Dragon Shield. You can actually type in Rogue5 at checkout on dragonshield.com and you get 5% off your order. I've actually been partnered with Dragon Shield for years before even starting this channel. And hey, the promo code Rogue5 works for this one too. So if you want to support the channel, you want to get some really cool Dragon Shield stuff, check that out in the description. Deck box is Dragon Shield. Sleeves are Dragon Shield. They're my favorite. So yeah, without further ado, let's go into our top down and talk about this Rakdos Madness Burn deck tech. Let's do it. And today's playmat, as you can see, is this beautiful playmat by Steve Argyle, signed here and here as well. I picked this up a couple years ago. Steve's a great dude, and he's always great to chat with at events that I see him at. And here's our deck. So let's go ahead and crack this open and talk about this Rakdos Madness Burn deck. By the way, if you like this formatting and style of deck tech, please let me know in the comment section down below. I could also just do like a static image with card images, but personally I'm a more tactile person and I like actually featuring the decks that I build and play. It's just something that I've always done on my main channel, Red Zone Rogue, and it's just something that I wanted to kind of bring along over here as well. We have our sideboard, we have our tokens. We'll talk about all that kind of good stuff as we go and as we talk about the deck. So let's go ahead and sort out the lands and then talk about the deck proper. Now, as a burn deck, we are running Lightning Bolt. It is the most efficient burn spell ever made, or at least up there. I'm not sure if you want to make an argument for anything else, but this card is fantastic. I, of course, am running this full art promo version, but if you can't read or if you didn't know what it did, it is a 1-drop red instant that deals 3 damage to any target, and it is fantastic. So, of course, we're running a full 3 of our Lightning Bolt as kind of a baseline burn spell for the deck. We're also running Chain Lightning. However, Chain Lightning is a little bit trickier to pull off. At one point, this was a premium burn spell for Magic the Gathering, but it's kind of fallen off in the last several years actually, but it's still quite good. We're actually only running a single copy of Chain Lightning, but it's still a 3 damage for 1 red. It's at sorcery speed, and your opponent may kind of like fork it back to you if they pay 2 red. So it's kind of a downside, and it's one of the reasons why we're not running a full 4 copies of Chain Lightning. It's still quite good, and I can see decks that would like to run more copies of Chain Lightning. But yeah, Pauper is a format that has both Chain Lightning and Lightning Bolt available, which is just awesome. All right, let's get into some madness. We have Alms of the Vein. I consider this kind of one of the signature cards of the deck. It is a 3 cost, 2 and a black sorcery. Target opponent loses 3 life, and you gain 3 life. That's not the best rate, but it's fine. However, it has Madness for a single black. Madness is a really important ability for this deck, and if you didn't know what it did, well, Madness just says when you discard this card, you can pay the Madness cost to play it instead of it going to the graveyard. What it actually says here, and this is like a little bit of an older templating 2016 version. It says, if you discard this card, discard it into exile. When you do, cast it for its Madness cost, or put it into the graveyard. So basically, just the way it works is when you discard it, you just pay the Madness cost and then you play it. That's kind of how it works. And it's great. So this is essentially a 1 cost, your opponent loses 3, you gain 3. So in a lot of respects, it's maybe better than Lightning Bolt in certain circumstances. And like I said, I think this is a kind of like a marquee card of this deck. Similarly, we have Fiery Temper. 1 and 2 red instant. It deals 3 damage to target creature or player, and it has a madness of a single red. So it's kind of like a lightning bolt on madness, which is great. So more burn. As you can see, we are burning up. So that's another 4 for the deck. And that's all of like just the raw burn that we have in the deck. We also have some creatures that also do things and have madness. So this is the Kitchen Imp, 3 and a black for a 2/2 flying haste imp. However, it has madness for a single black. So when you discard it, you pay a black, and then you get a 2/2 flying haste imp. We're running a full 4 of this guy as well. And we also have the Sneaky Snacker, which you'll see in a lot of the deck techs coming forward. This card's super good, and it's running tons and tons of Pauper decks. It's a blue and a black for a 2/1 flying fairy rogue. When you draw your 3rd card in a turn, return Sneaky Snacker from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So it's not a madness card, but it's still one that you want to discard, right? You want to discard this early, and then you draw some cards. We have a ton of ways to trigger this effect, and then it just comes back into play tapped. And it just keeps coming back. So this is a resilient threat. It's 2/1 flyer, can get the job done. Running a full 4 of the Sneaky Snacker. Next up, we have another key card of the deck, and another card that I would consider kind of like a marquee card of Rakdos madness. We have the Voldaren Epicure. It's a 1 red for a vampire, 1/1, and then when this creature enters, I can speak properly, it deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you create a blood token. So 1 drop deals 1 damage, and you make a blood. What is a blood? Here's the blood. Blood is a artifact token. Blood. You can pay 1 and tap it and discard a card, sacrifice a token, and draw a card. It's really good. We want to be discarding cards for all of our madness effects, so blood actually is incredibly good for us. A lot of the times, blood means pay 1 and then pay like another 1 for a madness cost. You play the madness card and then you draw a card. Blood is really good, and so make sure you have a bunch of blood tokens for this deck because we're going to be making a lot of blood. We like the blood. Gallons of the stuff. All right, so we have the 4 Voldaren Epicures. Excellent. Next up, we have Vampire's Kiss. So another way to deal some damage, but also make some blood. So this is a 2-drop sorcery, 1 and a black. Target player loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Then you create 2 blood tokens. Once again, this is another way to get discard effects, and it also is a damaging effect as well. So I guess you can kind of think of this as a burn. Maybe I was a little bit off when I was saying that was all the burn, but it's both. Next up, we have a classic Magic the Gathering card, Faithless Looting. 1 red for a sorcery, draw 2 cards, and then discard 2 cards with flashback. Perfect card for this deck. Draw 2 cards, and then play 2 cards with madness is kind of what this reads. Or discard your Sneaky Snacker. Or, since you're drawing 2 cards, we get our Sneaky Snacker back from the graveyard, because it says when we draw our 3rd card in a turn, we draw the 1st card at the start of our turn, and then 2 more from Faithless Looting. So any draw 2s get us the Sneaky Snacker back, like Faithless Looting. Obviously, we're running a full 4 of in the deck. Next up, we have a bit of a newer card, Highway Robbery. 1 and a red for a sorcery. You can discard a card or sack a land. Spoilers, we're going to be discarding a card. If we do, draw 2 cards, and then it also has Plot, which Plot means you can pay the plot cost and you exile it, and you can play it on a different turn as a sorcery, without paying the mana cost. So you can kind of plot later. You can plot and then play it later or whatever. A lot of times you just jam this out, right? As a discard 1, draw 2. Really good. What are we going to be discarding? Any of the cards. You can discard Sneaky Snacker or anything with madness, and yeah, just gels really, really well. And then our final card is, you guessed it, another card that's similar to the other cards. We have Grab the Prize. 1 and a red for a sorcery. As additional cost to cast a spell, you discard a card. Draw 2 cards. If the discarded card wasn't a land, Grab the Prize deals 2 damage to each opponent. This card's exceptionally good in the deck because this is basically just like a dome your opponent for 5 kind of card. You basically discard something like Alms of the Vein or Fiery Temper, or maybe even our Kitchen Imp, or even the Sneaky Snacker, I suppose. And then you deal 2 damage, and then you can play the Madness cost, or get our Sneaky Snacker, or whatever. This card's fantastic. And as you can see, this deck just synergizes extremely well. It's why Lightning Bolt is maybe one of the more boring cards in the deck, because it's just 3 damage for 1 mana. But we also have cards that are like, synergize with all of our draws and discards that also deal 3 damage or make our opponent lose 3 life. So yeah, the deck itself is extremely fun. It's extremely fast and extremely potent. Like, yeah, it's super fun. For our mana base, it's quite simple. We have a Bajuka Bog. This is just specifically for all of the Graveyard Synergy decks. There's the Tolarian Terror decks. There's the Spy Combo decks. There's a lot of decks that care about graveyards. And Pauper, this is just really good at just, yeah, get rid of it. We'll have, you'll see that in you'll see a lot of graveyard hate and sideboards and stuff in Pauper. We also are running Jagged Barrens. This is one of the crime lands. It's just a black-red land desert. Comes into play tapped, and when it enters, you do 1 damage to an opponent. It's just an extra little bit of damage, and can be the difference between winning and losing. So not too bad, and it's from a land source, which is sometimes relevant. We're also running 2 Rakdos Carnariums. This is the bounce land for, you know, Rakdos. It's just a nice little way to get a lot of advantage. We're not running a ton of lands in the deck, so this is a nice one to play early, and we can do a thing where, like, you know, just tapping a Rakdos Carnarium can crack a blood and also blast your opponent with like a Fiery Temper or Alms of the Vein. So pretty solid. And then after that, it's just some swamps. We got 4 swamps, and then we got a bunch of montañas. And I do like to theme my decks. I like to match the basics with the themes, and I really like these ones as well. They're both Innistrad themed, and this one's more of an Innistrad Blood Moon vampire-y theme. So yeah, I dig these quite a bit. Basics, choosing your basics is important. It's important for me. And then finally, let's talk about the sideboard. Hey, you know what? I mentioned graveyard hate. Hey, look, here's more graveyard hate. So we're running the Nile Spellbomb. You'll see this on a lot of my decks, either main deck for artifact decks or sideboard. This is great, just great graveyard hate. Like I said, really good against the Tolarian Terror decks, good against the Spy Combo decks, and a bunch of other ones as well. You can sack it, exile all cards from target player's graveyard, and when it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you can pay a black, and if you do, draw a card. Costs 1 to play. Yeah, just great graveyard hate. Here's another one you'll see in a lot of decks. Let me kind of put the let me put the sideboard somewhere. We have Tormod's Crypt, the only one of in this version of the deck, but I run this card in a lot of my decks. It's just a 0-cost artifact. You sack it, exile target player's graveyard. Play this on turn 1, blow up their thing, or maybe play it right before you think they're going to kind of pop off. I like having, you know, kind of sit around so I can kind of like crack it and get them so they don't, you know, kill me or one-shot me in the case of like the Spy Combo decks, but it's still good graveyard hate. Hey, look, here's more graveyard hate. This is Crypt Incursion. This one's great at instant speed, so that your opponent, you know, they can't try to blow up your artifact or something like that. This one is 2 and a black for an instant. Exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard, and you gain 3 life for each card exiled this way. Specifically, really good against the Spy Combo deck, which they want to put a bunch of creatures and then do the Dread Return thing and kind of like combo you off. This one's great. Not only does it just exile their graveyard, but you gain a ton of life, and it just makes it really hard for them to win. Next up, we have Extract a Confession. This is 1 and a black for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, we can collect evidence 6, which means we exile cards with a total mana cost 6 or greater from our graveyard. Each opponent sacks a creature, and then if we did the collect evidence, instead each opponent sacks a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control. This in particular is really good against Bogles and against Tolarian Terror. We're running 2 copies in here, and yeah, it's just, once again, really good against Bogles and Tolarian Terror. Bogles can be kind of a pain in the butt, especially when they start getting a ton of life off of like the Armadillo Cloak. Next up, we have Cast Into the Fire. This is a great card against elves and against any artifact deck. So it's 1 and a red for an instant. It deals, you can choose one. You can have it deal 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures, or you can exile an artifact. So kill 2 elves or 2 other little chunguses, or you can exile an artifact. So this is another great sideboard card that we can kind of bring in against a couple different decks. Yeah, once again, good against elves, good against any like affinity or artifact deck. We're also running 3 Duresses. Duress is fantastic against any control or combo deck, or, you know, anything that isn't going to be running a lot of creatures or has like key combo pieces that aren't creatures. If you didn't know what Duress does, it's a staple of just Magic in general. Well, I guess in formats where it's legal, it's 1 black for a sorcery, and you look at target opponent's hand and you choose a non-creature, non-land card, and they discard it. I'm running 3 in the sideboard. And then finally, we have Dark Withering, a card unique to this deck because it has Madness. This is 4 and double black for an instant where you destroy target non-black creature, and it has a Madness cost of 1 black. This is great against any you know, mid-range to big control decks where they have big finishers. Great against the Tolarian Terra deck. Not good against Bogles because you can't target the Bogle, but it's good against any of the other like big mid-rangey decks. So it's basically, you know, blow up their dude for 1 black. If it's a, you know, a Terra deck, you might have to pay the ward costs or something, but still very good. And there you go. That is our Rakdos Madness Burn Pauper deck. This deck's super fun, and it's quite easy to play. It's not like a really complicated deck. Hey, you just try to count to 20, kill your opponent, and have a blast doing so. Drawing cards is fun, and then shooting your opponent for 3 in the face is also a lot of fun while you're drawing the cards. And so if you like that kind of style, if you like the vibe of the deck, I can't recommend it enough. As a Pauper deck, it's also incredibly affordable to buy and to build, and yeah, play some Pauper. So that's going to be that for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you like the format of this type of video, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Like, subscribe, help the channel. I appreciate you. All right, bye.